Hello, you guys. So I found out the exact reason why Elizabeth has came to France. It's because she is engaged to the Duke of Anjou. And, uh, I know that it is obvious, but it was mostly not because it was too early for that, because she didn't really propose to, Hercules until a lot later in Catherine's life. And this season is starting in like 1561 or later than that. But Elizabeth didn't really want to like see a portrait of Hercules until 1570. No. Well, I was about to say 1572, but I was about to say um that they did not agree to have, like, so the show probably, the season probably starts in 1561, but, the agreement with Catherine and Elizabeth, like, they did not, plan on Elizabeth marrying, Hercules until 1572, and Elizabeth saw a portrait, of Hercules, and he was only a puny boy, and covered in smallpox, so she rejected that marriage. Yeah, because he was a teenager. But in 1579, she actually did get interested in him because she found another portrait of him as an adult. He was like, no, he was 17. No. He was 18, so he was an adult, but she still did not get interested in him because he was still younger. So, but when I'm saying when he got to his 20s, she began to be interested in him, and that's how, like, he came to England. She didn't come to France. She never left England, as you guys all know. But speaking of all that, the reason why that thumbnail is zoomed in to her dress, because if you you could see all these animals, like, I guess they're all symbols of all of her lovers, I would say, except for, like, the eyes, like, because the eyes, she called her favorite, Robert Dudley, her eyes. But if you take a closer look at the middle, there's a frog. Doesn't that remind you of something? Hercules, aka Francis, the Duke of Anjou. And now I see why Elizabeth came to France, just so that she can, try to marry the Duke of Anjou. This is all coming together now, and I don't know if that guy that was sword fighting with the Duke of Anjou was Robert Dudley. It looked more like his brother Charles IX. It looked like the king more, obviously, but when I saw the image of the king, when he was facing this way with all of his siblings, like, from left to right, his beard is down here, like, his beard is straight down here, but when I look at the sword fight, you actually see the beard is going this way, actually, not this way. So I'm thinking, is that Robert Dudley that he's fighting with? I figured that it was. So yesterday I figured that she came to France just so that she will later marry the Duke of Anjou. But today I had realized that it was probably Robert Dudley, because it makes more sense. But first, before I say it makes more sense, I'm not saying it's the Duke of Anjou, Hercules, it's Henry, the Duke of Anjou, but still, he's known as the Duke of Anjou, alright? Because in real life, it was Hercules that she had proposed, and not Henry. And he easily, Hercules, Francis, because he changed his name to Francis, Francis came to England easily because he wasn't the king of France. His older brother was still alive, but he died before he was king anyway, so it was the King of Navarre after Henry III, but anyway. So, getting back to what I was talking about, so what I was trying to say, it makes more sense. Like, the reason why I was saying that is because I'm trying to say that it makes more sense. It makes a lot more sense that it's Robert Dudley fighting with well, Henry, the Duke of Anjou, not Francis, because that's actually the accuracy. That's a little bit inaccurate because that's because that's Henry and not Francis, because Francis did try to marry Elizabeth. But still, it makes more sense for Robert Dudley to fight with the Duke of Anjou, with Henry, the Duke of Anjou, because he is Elizabeth's a lover too, and we're gonna have because it makes sense to either have her eyes and to have her. I mean, it makes more sense for the frog versus her eyes fighting, and whoever wins. And I figured that whoever wins, Elizabeth gets to choose that man to marry. It makes more sense. However, well, it actually. Before I say however, it actually makes more sense because Elizabeth would, if she went to France in real life, she would have brought Robert Dudley with her, okay, because, like what she did in the Spanish Armada. She brought Lord Dudley down to Tilbury, where she had made that most famous speech that really made Elizabeth famous during the Spanish Armada, when they were, it was over a week after the Spanish Armada had lost, after the Spanish had lost, but Elizabeth and the people were not aware because there was no television news back then. But anyways, now do you see what I mean? Like, she would have bring him up to France, but the reason why I'm saying however is that that's probably not Robert. That's just Charles, and if it's Charles, then why does he want to marry? Oh. Right, because Elizabeth did propose. I mean, because Charles wanted to marry Elizabeth. Because remember, he became king in 1560. And he didn't marry, his wife, Elizabeth of Austria, until 1570. And between those 10 years, it was actually first 1562 to 1564, he actually had, but do you see, it makes sense in between. Well, the second one was where he proposed to her 1569. But it makes sense for these 10 years because he didn't it makes sense for him to fight with Henry. Yeah, it makes sense for him to fight with Henry because in real life it took 10 years for him to marry for him to marry Elizabeth. For him to actually marry, because he couldn't marry Elizabeth because Elizabeth rejected those proposals twice, actually. First time was in 1562 to 64, and after that long process, she rejected it in 1564 because she didn't want to marry, because of so many reasons in Elizabeth's childhood of what happened. And then in 1569, I think Elizabeth of Valois' death, caused Philip to want to remarry, and it caused Charles to need to marry because he hasn't married yet. So while that was so while Philip was picking either Anne of Austria or Elizabeth of Austria, Charles was still proposing to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth again denied that marriage, so he decided to marry one of the two daughters of Maximilian II of Austria. So the eldest daughter was Anne of Austria. The youngest was Elizabeth of Austria. And I know I haven't read it. I should have read it, but for some reason I don't know why he picked Elizabeth of Austria, and Philip had picked Anne of Austria. And that's how he married Elizabeth of Austria later. So it makes sense of why he wants to propose to Elizabeth, while the sword fights, just so he can win to be with Elizabeth, because he proposed to her twice in real life. But in the series that Elizabeth, in the end, is going to reject both of them, because she's known as, you know it, of course, what I'm about to say, the Virgin Queen. So, I hope you guys get what I was saying about all that, and, I, I know I'm not gonna be exactly right, but this is what I think that I'm right, because I'm saying that I think that I'm right, just so that I don't be wrong just so I won't be wrong in the Serpent, when it comes out, when the second season comes out. You guys get that? So, anyways, stay tuned for more, for other videos that have nothing to do with Serpent Queen, and stay tuned for more videos about Serpent Queen, and I'll see you guys later. Oh, I accidentally hit the camera, but I'll see you guys later. Bye!